Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Skoda Superb car. What engines were installed? The Skoda Superb uses the same engines that were previously installed in the Volkswagen Passat B5 and Audi A4 B5, but also in the Octavia. The engine codes may be different, but the design is practically the same. The only significant difference between the Passat and the Superb was the 2.0 TDI engine installed in the Skoda since 2005. This unit only found its way under the hood of the Passat B6 because its production began in 2005, ending the production of its predecessor. Customers had an excellent choice of units, both petrol and diesel. The basic one was a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine with a modest power of 115 HP. More power and dynamics were provided by the 1.8 turbo generating 150 HP and significantly more torque from lower revs. Despite being the smallest engine in the range, it was one of the most dynamic. The Superb 1.8T accelerates to 100 km per hour in 9.5 seconds. The Superb V6 with a 2.8-liter engine with 190 HP accelerated 0.3 seconds slower, but only because it was paired with a 5-speed automatic gearbox. The 2.8 with 193 HP is faster, and when paired with a manual gearbox, it accelerates the Superb to 100 km per hour in 8 seconds. It's worse with the automatic, because then it takes 9.4 seconds. Interestingly, some sources don't mention this weaker V6 variant engine designation BBG at all. The diesel range included several units based on 3 designs. The smaller and well-known 1.9 TDI was available in several power versions, from 101 to 130 HP. The newer 2.0 TDI engine with pump injectors, like the 1.9 TDI, developed 140 HP. The 2.5 TDI V6 diesels with 155 or 163 HP were definitely more powerful and prestigious. The Superb had 5-speed and 6-speed manual gearboxes, as well as 5-speed ZF automatics. The petrol engines had 5-speed gearboxes, while the 2.0 TDI and 2.5 TDI diesels, both variants, had 6-speed manual gearboxes. The automatics were paired with the 1.8T, 2.8 volt 6, 1.9 TDI, 130 hydrogen phosphide, and 2 versions of the 2.5 TDI. Which engine should I choose? The choice of engine is in my opinion very easy in this model because the rule is as follows. The more power, the higher the maintenance costs, and the less, the lower. And so the cheapest to service and the most durable is the 2.0 engine. The 8-valve unit has a very simple design and does not suffer from any typical problems. The only thing it suffers from is a lack of power. It tolerates gas power perfectly. The more powerful 1.8 turbo variant is also a durable but not as simple engine. It has a complicated 20-valve head, and due to the supercharging it can cause further problems. Remember, we are talking about 20-year-old engines with mileage often closer to 400,000 kilometers than 100,000 kilometers. The greatest risk is associated with tuned engines, and there are plenty of them. Both 4-cylinder engines burn similar amounts of fuel, around 8 to 9 L100 kilometers, with the turbocharged unit having greater potential for lower fuel consumption with appropriately economical driving. On the other hand, both can be gassed and enjoy the lowest driving costs. The 2.8 V6 engine is even more expensive to use and especially to repair, but it is rated very well. In my opinion, if you care about dynamics, it is better to look for a well-maintained Superb 1.8T with the lowest possible mileage. If not, then the 2.0 will be enough for you. The 2.8 engine can be safely equipped with gas power, and it even seems necessary if we intend to drive such a car for a while. With fuel consumption of about 11 to 12 L100 kilometers, the cost of installation will quickly pay off. This is a good unit for people who like large engines. As for diesels, you can have mixed feelings. Theoretically, 1.9 TDI units differ in power, but the more powerful 130 HP designs have many parts different from the weaker ones. So you can't generalize that 1.9 TDI is always the same because it isn't. Chip tuning, not an uncommon occurrence. A 101 HP unit to 130 HP will certainly add dynamics, but it will also subtract durability. On the other hand now, after 20 years, what 1.9 engine is under the hood of the car does not matter at all, as long as it is well maintained. Although it is obvious that with the factory power of 130 HP it will be more pleasant to drive, what does matter is the choice of more powerful diesel engines. For example, The 2.0 TDI PD is a terrible design, but today it can be quite good. The fact that a dozen or so years ago this engine was cursed and repaired on a large scale does not mean that it is the same today. If the engine is still running today, it was either from the less defective batch, or it was replaced, or it was properly repaired. Despite everything, it is a very risky unit, and you should know the history of the car well. In this case, low mileage does not have to be an advantage. All four-cylinder diesels are famous for their very low fuel consumption of 5 to 6 L, 100 km. It is also worth adding that the 2.0 TDI engine was standardly equipped with a DPF system, but it is hard to find a car today that still physically has such a filter. An even bigger risk is buying a Superb with a 2.5 TDI engine, which is full of flaws and has a not very durable injection system. In addition, there is no justification for choosing this unit when petrol engines of similar power are much more successful and run on LPG without a problem, so the costs of everyday driving are similar. Typical faults: many of the faults in this car are due to age and mileage. Objectively durable and reliable versions today have various problems, often caused by previous interventions. However, when it comes to typical things, there are few of them. In the 1.8T, you should pay attention to the engine operation and clattering in the head. If something like this occurs, the engine is actually in need of repair. Knocking in the drive system may be the result of a worn dual-mass flywheel. The 2.0 engine usually causes the least problems, the only one without a dual-mass flywheel. The biggest problem is related to buying a diesel. 1.9 TDI units currently have one typical problem: wear and tear due to neglect. Another feature of these engines is the numerous combinations of users who tune them themselves or replace them with more powerful ones. Even selecting parts by VIN number can be a problem. Anything can happen to a 1.9 TDI diesel, but if the unit is well maintained, it will last a long time. A dual-mass flywheel was installed in all variants. The risky 2.0 TDI engine suffered from cylinder head, injector, and oil pump failures. The Superb variant is said to be less prone to failures than the Passat, but the engine should be checked thoroughly, and if the mileage is not high, I would recommend going to a specialist right after purchase to inspect the unit and look at the most vulnerable areas. A well-maintained 2.0 TDI engine can last longer than a 1.9 TDI. The worst is the 2.5 TDI, which has usually been repaired a few times, and you never know what the results will be. Owners of cars with this engine often sell them in desperation, wanting to get rid of the problem. That is why buying such a car should be approached very carefully, or with the intention of potential repair right away. Unfortunately, due to the 6-cylinder design and 2 heads, it will not be cheap. However, it will be much cheaper than in the case of V6 units from other brands. When it comes to other typical Superb faults, the front suspension is definitely worth mentioning. It is not very durable, and the first play quickly causes more, so it is completely unprofitable to replace one wishbone, or at least it is worth replacing the whole set for one wheel. The point is not to pay for labor several times in a short period. Unfortunately, Superb cars age just like their engines. Corrosion affects not only the bodywork but also the chassis. Buttons wear out, switches stop working, and the air conditioning may stop working. However, overall, it is a durable and usually trouble-free car. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know any problems with this car that I didn't mention, be sure to write about them in the comments.